7. How to pitch music for film and TV via regular mail. In this module, we learn how to pitch music for film and TV using samplers sent via regular mail. While this method is also applicable to ads and video games, I'll reference film and TV examples here. Before I get into the mechanics, let me highlight that some music supervisors prefer to receive submissions via regular mail, while others prefer only to receive submissions by email. Others still could be open to receive music through both methods. If that's the case, you should submit using both methods to maximize the chance of getting your music heard. Surprisingly, CDs are still used, but the reality is that many supervisors still have the preference or habit of collecting and sorting music on physical CDs and listening to them in their cars, on the way to and from work. Some supervisors use iTunes, while others use their own online systems. However, not everything is digital, and CDs are still being used, at least to discover and accept new music. This is an advantage. It provides another way to get your music heard and enable you to be discovered by differentiating yourself through packaging and marketing. There are two primary ways to submit your music. 1. As a general submission. These submissions are not time-sensitive or even for a specific project. While you could theoretically do this at any time, it doesn't maximize your chances for success, partly because music supervisors don't have a priority to listen to music that doesn't really fulfill a specific need that they have for a project. This is not to say that they don't also listen to other music, but for practical purposes, doing a general submission should not be your primary method when submitting music. It's still worth noting, however, that music in a music supervisor's catalog will still have the chance to be considered for a specific project. The music supervisor may have added your music to her catalog system through which she might search to see if anything could fit the brief. That's why a general submission mustn't be underestimated, though it is preferred to be more specific in your submission. 2. For a specific project. This is the preferred way for you to think about submitting your music, because it will maximize your chances for success. Do your research. Do as much research as you can so that you can submit the right type of music for a project. Music supervisor's time is limited, and you want to make the best first impression when introducing yourself. The kind of research you would want to do includes the following. 1. Upcoming projects and their associated music supervisors. By finding out about the associated music supervisors on new projects, you can reach out to them as early as possible in the process. If you're targeting TV shows that already exist, it's a bit easier, as it's likely going to be the same supervisor who worked on the previous season. 2. Music requirements. A. TV projects. For existing TV shows, you can simply look at what type of music is being used on the show. It's likely that the show will require this type of music again. Think about the genre or time period in which the show plays, and you can usually get a pretty good idea. For example, the popular TV show Mad Men is set in the 1960s, so the type of music suitable for the show would be music either from the 1960s or music that sounds like it's from the 1960s. MTV's hit shows Pimp My Ride and Cribs are heavy users of instrumental hip-hop and rock soundtracks. B. Movie projects. For movie projects, there are a variety of people you can approach. Music supervisors, film editors, film directors, film producers, and film composers. The most successful music publishers try to exhaust all avenues to get their foot in the door as soon as possible. They'll likely reach out to as many people associated with the project to see if they can learn anything about upcoming song requirements. You have to be persistent, resourceful, patient, and very good at getting through to people by phone and finding out their current projects. Highlight the targeted project. Focus your submission on a specific TV program or movie project and mention it in your CD cover or letter that you include in the submission. For example, great for your project, Criminal Minds. Keep it focused. You want to keep your sampler in the same genre rather than mixing multiple genres together. Thus, it'll be easier for a music supervisor to categorize your music and get a feel for your specific sound. Use CD samplers when submitting for TV shows. Let's look at the mechanics of how to submit music for a TV show via regular mail using a sampler CD. A sampler CD contains 10 to 12 songs on average, or the equivalent of what you would typically find on a CD sold in stores. Stay clear of submitting CDs containing 20+ songs, as this will only dilute your efforts. Some music supervisors advise indie artists without publishers or record labels to simply send their whole album. If it's a publisher or record label, 2 to 3 of the best songs from each one of their artists should suffice as a sampler. If a music supervisor likes the overall sound and quality of the songs submitted, he will surely reach out and ask for more. But if you can't impress him with the first batch of songs, there's no point throwing 20 or more songs on a sampler. The following approach is particularly useful for those that own at least 50, but preferably more, songs in a particular genre. I will also address how those with smaller catalogs should go about submitting their music. You generally have to follow a simple 3-step process. 1. Target the right music supervisor for your music. 2. Dress to impress. 3. Get on their radar. Step 1. Target the right music supervisor for your music. Don't offer meat to a vegetarian. Sounds obvious, right? You wouldn't believe how many of my music supervisor friends get pitched the wrong type of music all the time. The TV show Grey's Anatomy is known for featuring cutting-edge indie and alternative rock songs. But people send pop songs to the music supervisor every week. If you have breakbeat electronica music, identify a music supervisor who works on a film or a TV program that regularly features breakbeat electronica music, such as CSI or ESPN sports programs. If you want to place hip-hop instrumentals, find TV programs like MTV's Pimp My Ride that frequently use hip-hop instrumentals. Watch TV to find out what music a TV program typically uses. When you pitch your songs, you're more likely to be successful if you target the right music supervisor working on a TV program that uses your type of music. Don't try to force your music. If a music supervisor only plays hip-hop on the show, don't try to persuade him to use rock music. It won't work, and you'll waste both of your time. Step 2. Dress to impress. People judge books by their covers. If a cook in a restaurant has greasy hair and dirty fingernails, I wouldn't want to order a burger there. The same applies to pitching music. You need to dress to impress. Top music supervisors get over 100 CDs every single week, but only spend about 20% of their time listening to music. The rest of their time is spent editing music, trying out different songs and different scenes, marketing themselves to get their next music supervision projects, obtaining briefs from the director of a TV program, clearing copyrights, sourcing music, and so on. At best, a music supervisor has 10 hours to listen to music. In 10 hours, they could listen to no more than 10 CDs, meaning that 90% of CDs or songs will not be listened to. This makes packaging very important. You need to stand out from the crowd. Assuming the music supervisor accepts music by regular mail, there are a few ways you can stand out from the crowd. 1. Print your CD covers and label your CDs properly. You want to come across as a professional, not as an amateur. 2. Make sure everything is labeled and all publishing and contact info can be easily found on the CD, on the cover, and on the back of the CD. 3. Unlabeled CDs, handwritten labels, and sloppily applied labels are all no-nos. If the CD looks sloppy, a music supervisor might not even bother putting the CD into a CD player. 4. Be sure to add metadata with each song so that when music supervisors do put the music into their own system, it's easy for them to locate your music based on genre, tempo, style, contact information, and so on. Make sure to mention what rights you hold for the songs and whether everything is pre-cleared for licensing. This can even be embedded into the metadata. Send all of your CD samplers with FedEx or UPS. Why? 1. Those packages get opened first and are not automatically thrown into a big pile. 2. Your music is important and it deserves a music supervisor's immediate attention. You are investing in the best delivery, so music supervisors will check your mail first. 3. Some of the most successful music publishers always send via FedEx or UPS, even if they're based in the same city. 4. If you don't believe me, just think about your own behavior. Which envelopes do you open first when you get your mail? Don't save money in the wrong area, especially if you're starting out and don't have a relationship with a music supervisor. An extra $20 will go a long way. Later, I'll tell you how to stand out from the crowd when it comes to pitching your music via email. Step 3. Get on their radar. To get noticed, you need to reach out to a music supervisor on a regular basis. Remember, placing music is a marathon, not a sprint. You have to be patient and work to get a placement. It might take you a few months to get onto a music supervisor's radar and get noticed. Some of the top music publishers tell me that it typically takes them 3 to 6 months before a music supervisor takes them seriously and starts reaching out to them. But remember, one placement on a big movie or program like Spider-Man or Grey's Anatomy can make a huge difference to your success in the music industry. But how do you know who accepts music by regular mail and who accepts music through email? You can either call or you can save yourself time and money by checking out our guide. We've researched what a supervisor prefers, so you can be smart about how you reach out to them. Therefore, how do you get on a music supervisor's radar? Suppose a music supervisor accepts samplers by regular mail. How would you get noticed? Sending just one CD sampler will not do the trick. According to my research, you need to have at least 8 interactions with the music supervisor in the first 90 days of introducing yourself to them. Let's use an analogy of the sales process, where you may have heard of the importance of getting in touch with someone 7 to 13 times before you're able to get a sale. Our case is similar. You're trying to make sure that the supervisor notices you. Here's what I've successfully done time and time again to get on a music supervisor's radar. Week 1, call the music supervisor to let them know you'd like to send a CD sampler, and then send the sampler. Week 2, send another CD sampler. Week 3, call or email the music supervisor to let them know you sent a CD sampler. Week 5, send another CD sampler. Week 7, send another CD sampler. Week 10, call or email the music supervisor. Week 11, send another CD sampler. Week 12, send another CD sampler. That's a total of 8 interactions. And I will have spoken to the music supervisor at least twice to remind him to check out one of the 6 CD samplers I sent. After the initial 12 weeks, send a sampler once every 6 weeks, making sure you send a different one every time. Put different songs on each CD so you don't bore a music supervisor with the same old selection. I am confident with this method, and with it, you can expect that the majority of music supervisors you reach out to will notice you. Then it's up to your music to literally do the talking. Never, ever give up. It takes time, and that's normal. Even the best music publishers and composers have to follow the same process and timeline. If the right opportunity comes up for your music, you will get the chances you deserve. Feel free to modify the sequence to what works best for you, according to the feedback you get and your budget. Using CD samplers when submitting for movies. While it's certainly possible to do so, you will not need to follow the same sequence as mentioned above because the requirements for a movie are very precise. Sending in multiple samplers with such a strategy isn't going to yield the desired outcome. However, you can still submit music on CDs for specific projects, film or TV. You might even want to use your time when calling the music supervisor to ask them what requirements they have for any film projects as well. However, it's quite likely that you'll need to follow the pitch by email method covered in another module to be more effective for song placements in movies. Next, I want to talk to you about seasonal samplers and then address how to handle the sampler sequence when you own a smaller sized catalog. Using seasonal samplers. Since we're talking about submitting music via regular mail, I also want to highlight another often employed strategy: seasonal samplers. Seasonal samplers might consist of brand new music that pertains to a specific season. Certain movies that are released at particular times of the year typically feature a specific kind of music. You could put together a Valentine's Day or a Christmas or Halloween sampler with music suitable for that particular time. The advantage of this method is that you increase exposure to your catalog, provided that you have a larger catalog from which you can pull these different kinds of songs. Certain songs are necessary in particular seasons, thus giving you an opportunity to capitalize on additional exposure. Moreover, music supervisors are more likely to keep your sampler as this type of music is required every season. Using hard drives. Hard drives are means of getting your music to a music supervisor for licensing. This is done a lot when pitching for TV networks that use instrumental music, such as hip-hop or electronica for their TV shows. Look at MTV, VH1, or BET, all of which feature reality TV shows known to use the bed of a lot of instrumental music. In these cases, you want to contact the corresponding music supervisors and ask them about the possibility of doing a blanket license deal and give them access to an entire hard drive of music that they can use as much or as little as they like. This is an easy way to become featured on TV and get some royalties. Although you can request it, don't expect your hard drive to be sent back to you. Again, this is just one additional way that you can send music for potential licensing that would make it easier for your music to be picked up. This is something that's commonly done and should definitely not be left out of your arsenal. A large amount of music will make it worthwhile for a music supervisor giving her access to a lot of music to feature on various shows. If you only have 10 songs, then this isn't necessarily something useful for you. If you have more, then it should be on your to-do list. Here's a frequently asked question. What if you're an independent artist or band and you want your songs to be considered, but only have 12 to 15 professionally recorded and mixed, and the rest are demos. Can I still use this approach of sending samplers to get a song placement on a TV show? Answer: keep in mind that this is only one technique among many. View it as an additional method to get your music picked up and not as the only way to get your music out there. Even if you have a smaller catalog, consider all the successful independent artists and bands that have had nothing else but a single album. A music supervisor came across a single song they heard and loved. This is really what you're aiming for to get you started. Having a smaller selection of songs requires you to be strategic in how you reach out to the music supervisor. You may not need to continue sending out these samplers if a music supervisor confirmed receipt. The reason you should continue feeding your music to supervisors is so it doesn't get lost. With that in mind, here are some things that you can do to maximize the effectiveness of this strategy. 1. Change the order of songs that you put in your follow-up samplers. Music supervisors might only listen to the first 1 to 2 songs. If they like them, they might take the time to listen to the rest. They might not have liked the first song on a previous sampler and thus never got to the 5th or 6th song on the CD, which they might have liked. By rotating songs, you increase the chances for one of your songs to be liked by the supervisor. 2. Change the look of your samplers. To minimize the risk of not being selected just because they didn't like the songs the last time around, change the look of your samplers, CD covers, and so on to avoid any prejudgment that might have disqualified your selection. Changing the look of your packaging might give you additional chances for success. You believe in your music and it deserves to be heard. If it isn't ready, I recommend you go back and work on playing the songs you have to strangers to get honest feedback and work with other producers to get it arranged, mixed, and mastered to be of radio-like quality. If you don't hear back from a music supervisor, don't despair. Even the top music publishers don't get feedback on their submissions 90+% of the time. The approach mentioned applies to the case when a supervisor accepts material via regular mail, but there are different techniques and approaches when you send samplers out electronically, which we turn to next. Key takeaways. Do your research. Find out about upcoming projects for TV and film and the music supervisors and strategies associated with each. Target the right music supervisor for your music. Dress to impress. Pay attention to packaging and marketing. Get on their radar. Be persistent. Use FedEx and UPS. Submit seasonal samplers and hard drives. Change the look of your samplers by rotating songs and changing packaging.